I got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you a narc? Are you a freaking narc?
Dude, I'm not a narc. But if I was a narc, why would I tell you? Wait a minute.
Exactly.
If you're asking me, are you the narc?
Am I the narc? Of course not. You're the narc. You know what? Only a narc would ask that question.
There's only one way to find out. You need to ride the dragon.
I got to do what I got to do.
All right. We're doing narc on the show. Obviously, that was our bad thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're watching and listening to Forgotten Cinema. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a movie came out that was bigger than that film and overtook it, or it simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. I'm aware that's not how you usually say it. We talk about what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We are everywhere. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even YouTube. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment, rate, review, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. And go back and look at our other episodes because we have a backlog of over 275, closing in on 300 episodes for your listening pleasure. I butchered through that, but I
got through it. You got through it. I'm proud of you.
It's bad.
Maybe in the next 300, maybe when we hit 600, you'll.
I don't know why I can't memorize it. I don't know why I blank on it. I don't know what it is.
You wrote it.
I know, but I'm not used to saying it all the time.
Are you Sean Connery from Last Crusade? I wrote it down so I didn't have to remember.
She talks in her sleep. Mike, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Been riding the Red Dragon pretty hard, even though I'm an undercover cop. But I gotta do what I gotta do.
Interesting. Is it the Red Dragon?
Isn't that what you said before?
I said ride the Dragon.
Ride Dragon, yeah.
Red Dragon's the movie.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting confused with Hannibal and that. Been riding the Dragon pretty hard. Undercover cop. I did what I had to do to keep my cover. That's if doing some majors what I got to do. That's what I got to do. So I did it, and somebody got tipped off that I was an undercover cop, so I went after them with my gun. But this guy had some crazy version of something and syringed a guy who went into some kind of anaphylactic shock.
The movie?
Then I shot him in the face, saving a kid, but shooting a pregnant lady. It was a bad day. Now it's a couple years later. I have a wife and a son.
Still a bad day.
And it's always a bad day. For some reason, I got to get back undercover as a narc and work with crazy Ray Liotta to solve the case of another dead narc cop. And things are just going to get really dark from here on out.
Yeah, a lot of narcs there, and obviously we're doing the movie Narc. So let's get into the facts, and then we'll discuss the film. I believe you have never seen this movie.
I thought I had, and it turned out I was thinking of the movie Dark Blue with Kurt Russell.
Oh, wow. That is a widely different. It's a
very different film.
Movie.
I was like, what am I thinking of? I thought this movie took place during the Rodney K beating. And I was like, nope.
Yeah,
that is Dark Blue.
Who was the other guy in Dark Blue?
Oh, the younger guy. I can't remember.
Right.
I rember really liking that movie. That's
Put it on the list. Narc has a runtime of 105 minutes. It's rated R. Production budget of $6.5 million. It came out in limited in December of 2002, but I opted for the wide release just because, I don't know, that's more screens. And so its wide release date was January 10th, 2003. Opening weekend, it did $2.8 million, domestic 10.5, international 2.1 for a worldwide total of $12.6 million. Production company, there are quite a few: Lionsgate Films, Cruz Wagner Productions, Splendid Pictures, Emmett Furla Films, and Tierra Blue Films. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures, and it was in the English-speaking territories, and internationally, it was distributed by Lionsgate Films. So I said it came out on the 10th of January. Let's go. We can't go back a week because nothing came out the week of January 3rd, because obviously
that kind of makes sense,
the overflow from the Christmas films. So I'm going to give you the wide and limited releases around Christmas, and then December 27th, or December 25th, and then December 27th. So you had wide releases of Catch Me If You Can and Pinocchio, the Roberto Benigni Pinocchio. You had a limited release of The Pianist, Chicago, The Hours, Sunny, and Nicholas Nickleby. You also had a wide release of About Schmidt on the 3rd. I said I wasn't going to go to the 3rd, but there was one on the 3rd. So you had a chunk of those holiday films that were still spilling over when Narc was coming out in the theaters.
I didn't realize The Hours was that old now already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Depressing movie.
It is very depressing.
The week after this film, so the week after the 10th, which is the 17th, you had a wide release of Kangaroo Jack, National Security, and A Guy Thing, and then a limited release of City of God. So this film is written and directed by Joe Carnahan. I believe it's his very first film. He has directed Smoking Aces, The Gray, the A-Team,
which we did.
Stretch,
which we did.
He's also written most of those as well. He also wrote the 2018 Death Wish and Bad Boys for Life, which I didn't realize he wrote Bad Boys for Life.
But Death Wish is terrible.
The Kevin Bacon one?
No, isn't Death Wish the one with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, but Kevin Bacon's the guy. Bruce Willis is the guy that helps him. Right?
No.
I'm thinking Kevin. First of all, Kevin Bacon is in the other one that was written, that was based on the guy who wrote the original Death Wish novel. It's his other.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't think, oh no, Vincent D'Onofrio is Bruce Willis's friend that helps him out.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's right.
You're right. Yeah. You didn't like the Death Wish with Willis?
No, I did not like it.
I don't remember if I liked it at all either.
I do like when he kills the Candyman or whatever. And that's about it.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, so this cinematographer was Alex Neponashki. I can't tell you after, so we'll do episodes and I butcher names. Of course. And I don't learn. And then I'll watch something and they'll say the person's name, but I'm just like, oh my God, please don't listen to our podcast.
No, please do listen to our podcast.
No, please, God. So it's Alex Neponashki. Done Eagle Eye, Never Been Kissed, and Poltergeist 3. I apologize, sir. Composer was Cliff Martinez, done The Neon Demon, Only God Forgives, and Traffic. Edited by John Gilroy, who's done Pacific Rim, Nightcrawler, and Rogue One. And produced by Michelle Grace and Ray Liotta, Diane Nabatoff, and Julius R. Nasso. Actually, there are, the note I have, those are the four main producers.
21 producers or something like that?
There are a record number of producers, 21, as Butler says. There are more producers for this movie than speaking parts in the film. But the four that I listed, Grace has done Take the Lead. Liotta has produced a lot of his own stuff, but including The Identical and Phoenix. Nabatoff has done Very Bad Things in Operation Dumbo Drop. And Nasso has done a movie called, I guess, Dark, with D-A-R-C. Not the sequel, nothing to do with Narc, but just
Dark.
Jason Patric is in this film. He's the lead as Nick Tellis. Well, there's two leads. He's in The Lost Boys, Speed 2, Cruise Control, and Your Friends and Neighbors. Ray Liotta has Henry Oak from Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, and Identity.
A movie we did.
Shy McBride as Captain Cheevers, Gone in 60 Seconds.
A movie we did.
The Terminal, and the TV show Pushing Daisies. McBride's like he assigns them. He puts them on the case. He puts Patrick on the case. Oak is under him.
He's the captain of Oak's precinct, right?
Yeah. Krista Bridges as Audrey Tellis. She is the wife of Nick Tellis. She is in House on the End of the Street, the 2012 version, and TV show Heroes Reborn. John Ortiz is Octavio, young John Ortiz is Octavio Ruiz. He is the, I guess, snitch that he used to be somebody's informant that they knew.
He was the dead guys.
Calvis?
Calvis's informant.
Okay.
And then he was like, I'll keep talking, but you got to give me less time because he had just set his girlfriend on fire.
Yeah,
because
she
gave him an STD.
Well, no, she set him on fire. Pretty sure she set him on fire.
Oh, I thought his junk was. No, that's why his junk was itchy. It was burned.
Oh, maybe.
I thought she gave him an STD.
I couldn't understand.
I think she gave him an STD.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have. Oh, I guess. So anyways, he's Silver Linings Playbook. Silver Linings Playbooks. Fast and Furious. I think that's the 6th one or 7th. And then Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which we did
for the lead ups.
Right, which is not out yet.
And he did Ad Astra. He was in Ad Astra briefly.
He was?
He was one of the generals that sends Brad Pitt out.
Oh, that's right. Anne Openshaw as Catherine Calvis. She is the wife of Michael Calvis, who is the informant that ends up dead that starts this whole investigation. She is in The Gray. Alan Van Sprang is Michael Calvis, the informant, that the cop that's undercover that is killed. He's from Immortals and Diary of the Dead. And then finally, Busta Rhymes is in there as Darnell. He kind of shows up at the end. He's in Halloween Resurrection of the 2000 Shaft. When they don't show his face. They didn't ever have a close up on him.
Oh, they have a close up when he screams, but he's got blood all over him.
No, but it was all side angles until then. I'm like, is that Busta Rhymes? Is that Busta Rhymes? I'm like, what the? Put the camera on him.
I said the same. I figured it was Busta Rhymes after they had him tied down. But yeah, when he's grabbing him by the hair, I go, that's not Coolio, but that's somebody. Oh, that's Busta.
He calls him
Coolio to get the hair. But then I'm like, no, that's not Coolio. but that is somebody. And then when he goes, oh, put me down or whatever, I'm like, oh, that's Busta Rhymes. That can't be anybody else but Busta Rhymes.
All right, Mike. So I had seen this film before. You thought you did, you didn't. So you were going in kind of expecting something, and then you got something different. So I'm curious. Obviously, we always usually start like, what do you think? Well, first impressions.
It was good. I think it picks up as it goes. I mean, the beginning's kind of cool with the chase scene. It starts like it goes, it runs. Then it gets kind of clever with some clever edits and some cuts I don't like. But then when the movie kind of hunkers down toward the last 50 minutes, I think it kind of picks up. I like it a lot more. I would like to see more of the ending. I don't think the ending. I get that the case is closed, I guess, but I would have liked to have seen what happens to either Tellus or Calvez's investigation. I just want to see what happens. But
you're talking about what happens after.
What would happen after the fact? Because kind of admits to Tellus, but it's all now. It's recorded.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with that information? I mean, so I like it. It feels like a director's first film. In a lot of ways, it feels edgy in ways that I feel like an edgy director wants to make it like super gritty, especially in 2003. But I think that this movie suffers from something I talk about a lot in the podcast, which is 2003 was kind of the era of all these gritty, like we talked about Dark Blue. This is around Dark Blue's time. This is the time of The Shield. This is the time of all these kind of like dark crime films and TV shows that had come out. The Wire is a little bit prior to this, I think, too. So it's like within the middle of all this dark crime saga stuff. So for me, it's kind of like been there, done that. So whereas some of this is probably like, oh man, because clearly like Tom Cruise liked it and promoted and became an executive producer, so it got more eyeballs. This is what made Joe Carnahan, Ray Liotta and Jason Patric did a bunch of stuff to keep this movie going. I just didn't see that in this film, but it is a decent film that has some nice moments. I just didn't get I don't get the hype for it, probably because I
don't know if there is hype for it though. I don't know.
Not hype, but like I don't get that. Wow, this is just really good. It's a fair film of a lot of stuff I've seen before, but it kept my interest.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about in terms of the look is a lot of times what came out of the Propaganda Films production company, which was like Fincher and then I think was Fincher and Fincher. I mean, I'm trying to get it up here so I can actually talk. Yeah, so Propaganda Films had like David Fincher and Dominic Sena. I believe like a little Tony Scott is not, but that's kind of like he's like has that style,
right?
In the late 90s, early 2000s, that kind of Gone in 60 Seconds is a good kind of benchmark to like just when you're talking about the image is very stylized. This is obviously stylized to be gritty, but I think it's because it's also it's pretty much an independent film. It takes place during the winter. It takes place in Detroit. It's shot in Detroit. It's shot in Toronto, and the backgrounds are just not pleasant. But like
right,
so,
everything's destroyed. Everything's like gross.
Right. So I think that adds to the style of the film itself. That kind of gives it that gritty look that you're talking about. Yeah, I think a lot of films and TV shows were like this from probably about 2000 to 2010, maybe that whole decade.
Yeah. I think that it's not just. I mean, I don't mind the grit, but obviously, again, that is part of the been there, done that kind of thing. But what affected me, like at the beginning, were the quick cuts of like I don't know what's going on. The putting the 4 screens together during the investigation, and it's like I can't hear a single friggin' thing anyone's saying. I really didn't enjoy that. There are a couple cuts like that where it's just like quick cuts, and it's like I want to see stuff. Show me stuff. If this is gritty, show me it. Like they don't show me like the body in the bathtub flashes by so quick. I was like, wait, what was that? I had to rewind it and pause it.
I'm not sure why they didn't. I'm not sure why they didn't show it. Maybe because maybe they got cut because there was an R-rated. So maybe they were told by the MPA you got to cut that out a little bit.
Maybe back then it would have been too violent for that.
And that whole scene when Tellus is pontificating about what happened and he accidentally uses the shotgun as a bong, but then it sparks the It doesn't pull the trigger. It sparks the gun.
It sparks the shell. Yeah.
Right. And it fires off. So that whole thing felt out of place in the movie. It felt like this is a funny thing to put in here. It's, it's like, it just felt out of place from the film. It does take the time to introduce Oak's medical guy, the medical
right.
who then who Tellus puts together that, what he helped Oak do in his past and in the present. So you do have him there. But just the idea of that death just felt kind of, it's funny. And it's like, it's humorous in terms of like what happens to him because they have a laugh at it. It's kind of like gallows humor.
Right.
But it just felt a little out of place there.
Yeah. They just didn't investigate enough people because like there was that whole montage and then you get him, then you find the gun, which I guess is a clue because you find out the guns are cop guns taken from an armory, which clearly Oak would have known about. And it's covering up right then and there.
Well, the whole idea of what Oak is trying to do at the end, what Oak is trying to do is trying to pin this on somebody. I suppose
he has to pin it on somebody because if it's found out that Calvez was a junkie and gave up names and or killed himself, his wife and daughter don't get his pension. They get nothing.
But that wasn't in jeopardy. Because they never at one point, the investigation would have just went cold and it would have been an unsolved murder.
This is my problem with the film.
Right.
Yes. Leaving it be would have been fine, which I think is the point. I don't think Oak wanted to keep investigating. He was now working on that guy who beat the kids and he beats him with a pool cue or whatever. We're opening this case is being investigated and Oak has to work. But what doesn't make sense to me is they found a guy to pin it on.
Right.
The state was perfectly fine with pinning it on.
Right.
Tellus's, meek, stupid drug addict informant. Why would Oak go, yeah, no, that's stupid. We shouldn't put it on like it's done. The state is perfectly fine with this.
I can understand him arguing it because Tellus is arguing it. And so he doesn't want to tip off that he's just giving up. Do you know what I mean? But to your point, he doesn't have to be so boisterous. He could just at the end of that conversation, he's like, you know what? Fine, I just give up. If that's what it is, that's what it is.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And tell us, listen, man, it is what it is.
Right.
So we just move on.
And then maybe Tellus goes off and discovers something, or maybe Oak does. Again, we're rewriting the film, but maybe Oak does give in, and that kind of clues Tellus to be like, what's going on? And then he does his investigation and discovers even more stuff.
Right, yeah.
Which he does initially. I can't remember what tips him off in the movie. Something. He sees something that Howard is signing all. That
he has been taking care of the girl. He finds out the wife was the 10-year-old girl he had found in the 80s.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you with that.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me to go that far. I mean, you could put it on, as Busta Rhymes says, if you pin it on two black guys, it's going to stick.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what they're saying, but it was going to stick on this guy because the informant had the badge, had the guns. Like it was done. It just didn't make sense to keep going.
You could have had your ending the way you wanted it initially. A different, like a shootout, or pretty much where they're at a standoff without the whole things with the two guys that he's trying to pin it on that were there at the scene. That's the other thing though, Mike. Maybe wrapping around and coming back to the two guys that were at the scene initially with Calvis, when they're like, and then he shot at us. Oak's determination is to make sure that loophole is closed, because they could just they're in hiding, but they could come out and be like, no, that didn't happen. This is what happened. So maybe,
sure.
But explain that. It's not explained properly in the movie. So you kind of are struggling like we are to figure out like what's going on here.
I just don't see why he continues to press the case.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned something about the beginning, and I wanted to go back to that. I was not a fan of the shaky handheld camera.
Oh no, it's super shaky.
And I'm reading it. I'm watching the movie, and it's really shaky. And I'm thinking to myself, can't you just get a Steadicam operator? And then I go back when we start reading the notes about how it was shot in 28 days, and
Didn't have money
no
some
money
days.
and that made sense. So I was like, okay, fine. But it was real. It was obnoxious. It was like, I can't see what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Please stop shaking. Stop running with him.
This is one of the few movies where I had to rewind a couple of times because I either couldn't understand the dialogue, I couldn't see what was going on, or like the body. I was like, I wanted to see what was going on with the body because I didn't understand he was holding a shotgun. The guy in the bathtub. I thought he had his intestines out. So I thought like, oh, is this a gang killing? Like they spilled his intestines. And then I went back and I was like, oh, wait, no, he's missing the top of his head. That's a shotgun.
Well, he pulls it out. He pulls it out with that.
Well, later on, yeah. But in the moment while I'm watching it. And then with the beginning scene, like you're saying, with the shaky cam and stuff, I couldn't see what he's doing because he stabs that one dude who's just in the bench with the drugs.
So he explains it later.
It's garbage.
It's what happens when you're producing.
Heroin.
When you're making the heroin, you're purifying it, whatever you're doing. It's the leftover chemical compound that happens that he grabbed and was
right. Yeah. But like when you do it, I'm like, did he stab with a knife? Or why is he bubbling? So I had to rewind and go, no, he does have a syringe. Because I was like, does he have a knife or a syringe? So I had to rewind it there. And then there was another moment where I didn't rewind during the monologues or the 4 squares because I just was never going to hear that. But there was a moment where I had to rewind because I was like, I didn't understand a word they just said.
What 4 squares?
The 4 squares of investigating.
Oh, yeah. I don't think
do you know Freddie or whatever?
Know that. And apparently that also is Jason Patric, the man playing Tellus, talking to people that
just random people on the street,
regulars, being like just walking around talking. Hey, I was not a fan of the 4 screen. I was not a fan, but the stuff reminded me like the French Connection. So I kind of
there's a decent amount that reminds me of the French Connection. Yeah, when Tellus, Jason Patric's character, is in the chop shop and he's walking down the hallway after Oak has shot the one guy with the throat and the music stops, reminded me a lot of the end of the French Connection where you don't know what's going on in that chop shop.
Yeah.
And then you see the shooting of like Gene Hackman firing the 2 shots and it cuts. When he goes down the dark hallway and the machine gun fires at him in the darkness, I was like, that is French Connection right there.
Yeah. But it's tough to hold on to that because the movie has the early 2000s style to it, where it's the flashbacks, the quick cuts, the quick looks, and that style overtakes you basically enjoying the classical nature of the storytelling of like what the French Connection was. And when you think about when you're watching this film, like it's kind of hard to like latch on to that.
Yeah. A lot of the beginning stuff.
I want to talk about Tellus's wife. You first meet her and he's talking about how she knows that he got called in and he was like, oh, it's a bunch of BS and they want me back on a job. He's like, and he talks about how we can't do this welfare in 3/4. He's getting paid like a pension. And
he's getting paid the pension, but it's only 3/4
right.
of it. Yeah.
So because of what happened, he got let go, or he's on basically forced retirement,
paid leave,
whatever. So he goes back to interview, and he goes back to do the job because they need the money. So that they never have a scene after that. That's
they basically promise him, you do this one narc case. Well, first it's you go over some files. Right. Brad's like, you go over some files.
And they put him on.
Then he puts him with Oak. You do this one more narc case. I promise you a desk.
He says
he wants a desk job.
I'm doing this for a desk job. I need it to be a desk job. And he's like, all right, you do this and you got your desk job. And you find that all out. But you never have any scenes that go back to the wife. And the only next time you see the wife is when she's complaining to him about how he's in the field working. And she's like, oh, we can't do this. And she's yelling at him. And she doesn't like, she's just like upset. And while her being upset is justified, I understand that she's scared for him. She fears that
he's going to go back to what he was before.
But that he's going to go undercover again and he's going to start doing drugs because that's what happens initially. But we haven't seen anything. Like there has been no lead up for that for me. So all I get out of that is I just get annoyed with the wife.
You get a couple of flashbacks to his drunk tank. You get him like on the ground.
That's not enough. There. That's not enough. Like that's not enough.
I do agree. I think that the shot of him watching TV by himself, that one time you get him where he's like depressed and watching TV by himself, isn't enough. I think you need a shot where they're talking again. Because they do have that one argument where he's like, I'm going to go back in. She's like, what? And he's like, what if it was me? What if it was me? What if it was me?
Yeah.
And then you get the scene in the bathroom where she's like, I'm leaving you. But that's why I want more at the end, because we don't resolve it.
I just don't, I'm working from that. I don't know enough about their relationship and I'm not getting enough from their interactions to allow me to understand the wife's point of view more.
You don't get any of him at home.
Right.
You don't get to see what he's bringing home from work.
Like when he says, I'm doing this for the desk job, he tells Cheevers that, which is Chad McBride's character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, have you had this discussion with your wife? Like, I'm doing this so I can get a desk job. I need, has that discussion happened?
I think it probably did, but she just doesn't want him to go undercover at all anymore.
But he's not going undercover. Like, that's not the job. The job is just investigating a case.
Right, which I didn't get because he's like, you're going to go back. And he's like, but he's not going back. He's just essentially a homicide detective now. He's not.
Right.
He's not acting undercover. He's going back to his informants, but it's not like he's being. I thought there was going to be a moment where he's tempted to do drugs again because it's like, oh, man, what's up? Welcome back.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, you know that guy? Yeah, you want to light up first? And then he's got to yeah, there's none of that.
And they don't
that
talk.
tension's gone. There's no narcotic stuff going on, really.
And she's working when you first of all, when you first see her and she sticks her foot in his face when he's sleeping, like, come on.
In his mouth.
Get out of here. So she's working and he's not. He's at home. So I guess the idea is that when he goes back to working, she's now at home. No explanation about that. No explanation about how she's given up her job so that he can go back to the office or go back to work. She's going to watch the baby at home. You never have any conversation about, do you have a job now? Are you still working? Are somebody watching your kid? Are you paying for daycare?
Yeah.
Like these are financial strains. Excuse me. These are financial strains that would add to the story, would add to the stress level of at home that I know nothing about. And what becomes of that is a character that becomes one note, not on purpose, but because of other situations or other scenes and other ideas about the characters that we're not seeing or not hearing or we have no idea about.
Correct. I think we spend so much time at the beginning setting up his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole rest of the movie just becomes about the case.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate and also not what you have set up at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Which is why we're wondering if they didn't have those scenes, I would have been okay just investigating the case if that was the whole point of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
What did you think of Ray Liotta?
He's good. He's always good. He's Ray Liotta. I don't know. I mean, reading the notes, I really appreciated the work he kind of put in. He gained a little bit of weight, but then he had a fat suit on underneath.
Yeah, I have that
note. He gave
note.
himself fake eyelids.
Yep. He gained 25 pounds. He ate Chinese food, so he'd have that puffy look. He wore
that's right. The soy sauce. Yeah.
Wore fat suit, like Butler said. He had a prosthetic skin under his eyes, so he had that aged, baggy look. Yeah. He definitely fit the part.
Yeah. And supposedly he wore lift in his shoes to make himself taller, which is whatever. That's actors do that all the time. No, I really like him. I like that he's doing things for kind of an altruistic reason. I like that he kind of explains. I like that monologue where he explains why he's the kind of dirty cop he is.
I don't necessarily
not dirty cop, but he's
dirty.
like the cop on the edge, like the cop that bends the rules a little
like
bit.
Dirty Harry.
So I like all that. I just think that then at the end it becomes, oh, now you're just like a 2-bit criminal kind of cop. Now you're going too far to protect this one thing.
Well, he's down a hole because he's trying to protect the daughter that he never had, or that his pseudo daughter.
Yeah.
And because he set her up with Calvis, I'm sure. Who ended
up being a
dirtbag,
yeah,
and kind of sold. I thought that was an interesting twist how Calvis sold out Tellus.
I like that too because it comes back around, and
Right.
that's why you had that chase at the end because they found out he was a cop. Yeah,
Right. So
but nothing comes of it. That's the whole
Right.
point. It just ends with him going, oh. It doesn't even notice that Busta Rhymes is dragging his buddy across the
love
street.
that. Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And they all come out. Buster Rhymes comes out with his buddy who's passed out. They're both handcuffed back to back. He falls to the ground. Like cops come out of the car and they're just like pointing the guns at him. I'm like, guys, like
it's just a mess at the end. I just don't know where does it go from there? I don't understand. Like,
you're talking about what happens after?
Yeah, I get that sometimes that's the story is a story and that's it. But sometimes you need a resolution. And I think a movie like this, I need a resolution.
Well, you're following Tellus, the Jason Patric character, so much that you would like some kind of epilogue in terms of what he's doing now or what happens to him. I mean,
the story dies with Oak, but Oak wasn't who we follow for the first 20 minutes.
So just the credits should just roll, and Jason Tellus is just at a desk typing up paperwork. That's that should be the credit.
Oh, I actually wouldn't mind.
He's got a picture of his wife and his kid on the desk, and he's just like, "Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I've got 5 o'clock, gotta go." Like, just like that. That'd be perfect, just like that.
I wouldn't mind that actually.
So a couple of notes I have here, and I'll get into some reviews, but I wanted to get to some behind the scenes stuff. We talked about how this was a low budget. There was at one point in the movie where the paychecks weren't coming through. And so because of legal and whatever issues, budget issues. So Liotta and Patric actually worked for free because they liked Carnahan and they didn't want the movie to fail. So they wanted it done. So they took some days for free, which is, I don't even know if if you would hear of that happening today in this day and age. I don't know.
It's unlikely.
Maybe if it's a film. Well, the fact that it's a studio. Well, it wasn't a studio film. I take it because it was purchased by Paramount Pictures at Sundance for $3 million.
Right.
So it was still kind of had. Obviously, we talked about had 21 producers, so it was still being produced independently, basically, and then it was sold. So a studio film, probably not, but independent film, maybe. So somebody's taking not scale, but not as much scale or something like that.
I mean, in our Patreon exclusive episode of our look back, we did Friday the 13th. Not Friday the 13th. We did Nightmare on Elm Street. And we talked about one of the producers had to pay out of his own pocket.
Yes.
And got like a bank loan to pay people because for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there was no money coming in. Yeah.
Then that's not a story. I mean, that's a story that a lot of movies go through. So there's always somebody there to keep the movie afloat. And when you see the thank you section, those are usually those people.
We need money, please.
My favorite note is that Tom Cruise was so impressed by the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That, that he became the executive producer so they could see this film through. And he gave it a wider release. He wanted more people to see it. And then got Carnahan to direct Mission Impossible 3. But you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, he didn't direct Mission Impossible 3. J.J. Abrams did because supposedly Carnahan left due to creative differences with Cruise. So that's a nice little Hollywood moment. If honestly, if that happened, who knows if these notes are real.
I mean, he hasn't worked with Tom Cruise again.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the Mission Impossible is Tom Cruise's vehicle. So, I mean.
Yeah, you do what Tom Cruise says. Although 3 is very different. So, I mean, I think J.J. Abrams had some control on that.
Well, they talked to, I remember when they were doing 3 or when they were like, oh, when 3 was done, that he didn't know about J.J. Abrams as a director, and they gave him the box set of Alias to watch, and then he plowed through it, and then he was like, oh, okay, all right. So I think that's what kind of supposedly that's what I read. Did you know that this was going to be a TV series?
I did not know that.
So in 2014 Paramount Television.
After the fact, not like it was written as a TV. Okay.
That they were gonna develop a TV series based on this movie. I guess a new take of Narc, and Carnahan was going to be part of it. He was going to direct and write an episode. I mean, Eminem was going to be like the music supervisor at some point. He was in negotiations to be like the music supervisor on the show and the executive producer, and but it never happened. Never moved forward. I don't even know.
It would have just been The Wire.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why they were thinking about bringing it back, just because of the Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy and The Wire and
The Shield, all that stuff.
And
I think The Shield was at the same time as this movie.
Well, I think because of the popularity on TV, cable TV and whatnot. This is
bring it back,
but way before the streaming boom. So it was when cable TV was was edgier, taking risks and whatnot. Now let me give you some reviews, Butler.
Lay 'em on me.
Your buddy Ebert, quote, in terms of its urban wasteland, the movie descends to a new level of grittiness. These streets aren't mean, they're cruel. And to work them is like being the garbage man in hell. The movie's writer and director, Joe Carnahan, brings a rough, aggressive energy to the picture.
He was really working on creating some poster quotes, wasn't he? Okay. I mean, I do like that they used real world filming locations. I know they said the chop shop was a real chop shop at one point, and it was like a crappy
Patric,
place.
it's really the most depressing location I've ever worked at. Okay, man.
Why? Because there's car parts and it's cold? I'm sorry.
What about that bridge you were hanging from in Lost? I'm just kidding. I don't know.
So yeah, I agree with that, but I think there are other things like The Wire. I think does a fantastic job of showcasing the real real settings.
Well, they're shooting in Baltimore, the inner city of Baltimore.
Yeah. And I think that helps. So it's not the first thing, but yeah, in a film, it's cool to see that they're not using sets, or it's not just, hey, Toronto, but no, it's New York or Ontario, but it's New York.
It's supposed to be Detroit.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's cool that they're actually doing real locations.
All right. Chuck Rudolph from Slant Magazine. Quote, Liotta is destined for to be remembered for his daunting work here. He allows Oak's imposing nature to run far deeper than a mere facade. But it is Patric who embodies the film's soul. Quiet, tentative, but capable of meeting Oak toe to toe. It's a remarkable piece of acting that suggests the unknowable state of turbulence and frustration that comes with investigating violent crimes.
It's okay. I agree with that, I guess. I mean, Ray Liotta does a good job. I do think there are times I do like Jason Patric when Ray Liotta takes him out, like Oaks takes him out and yells at him not to investigate the wife. You know, what are you doing here? And Tellis plays it kind of cool. Hey man, why are you yelling? Like he plays it cool, and I think that takes a really good disciplined actor not to be like, oh man, Ray Liotta's really stealing this moment. Let me yell back. Like, I think the fact that he plays it kind of cool, like, don't touch me. I like that, but I don't like when he has his like moments where it's like, like, what are you saying? What do you like? And he goes down to the ground and like starts rubbing his eye. Like he's like remembering things. Oh no, oh, kill the, like it's like hurting his brain. Like he's remembering a memory in like an amnesia movie.
Sure.
I hated that. And I don't think that's Jason Patric's fault. It's probably Joe Carnahan being like, hey, this is what you got to do. But I really didn't like that.
Do you not like Jason Patric as an actor?
I like him.
Gotcha.
But I didn't like those.
Other than the Lost Boys, what else has you liked him in?
I've seen him in a few things.
Have you seen Your Friends and Neighbors? Well, I guess I'm going to have to go down to the corner store to get some 409.
I think I have seen that. I've seen Jason Patric in a couple of things.
One of the best pieces, one of the best monologues you'll ever hear is when Jason Patric is in Your Friends and Neighbors is describing how him and his buddies would Your Friends and Neighbors is like a movie about bad people, and he's talking about how back in high school or some school they were terrorizing this kid, and they ended up this kid, this boy. He's telling the story, and he's telling the story how they're this kid, but he's like, but like, you know, when we were there, he could feel it. He, like, me and him were like, he talks about how he liked it and how he liked it and how this kid liked the fact that he was having sex with him. And like, it's such a good monologue, and it's such a good, the whole thing is, that whole scene is I'm not saying it's good. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it's great. Like the content, but
the acting,
the performance
is really good.
Is so good that you're just like, oh my God. Like I highly recommend Your Friends and Neighbors. What's the other Neil LaBute film that I love? In the Company of Men. We did The Shape of You on the show. I recommend those three films highly. I'm not a big Wicker Man fan. Okay. But other than that, Neil LaBute stuff, I do enjoy, but Your Friends and Neighbors is Jason Patric.
You like movies about terrible human beings?
Jason Patric in that film is an exceptionally terrible person, but that scene, that monologue that he delivers, that story that he tells his friends is some really good acting, really great performance. Highly recommend.
I've seen him in a few things.
Yeah. The Lost Boys.
No, I mean, I've seen The Lost Boys. We've talked about it before.
Speed 2? Cruise Control?
The Lost Boys. I have seen Speed 2.
You don't like Lost Boys?
No, we talked about, I mean, I don't like not like Lost Boys, but when I watched it, I was like, it's okay.
Okay.
But I watched it like, it's one of Elise's favorite movies. She's actually got a Lost Boys tattoo.
She's still with you.
But when she showed me it, it was just so, it was just like, I was in college at that point. I was just like, it's good.
Michael, come out and play. Come on. How do you not like the Lost Boys? It's so ridiculous. Fine. The ending is when they fight in the house is so stupid. It's awesome.
It's fine. But I've seen him in some things. He's in The Losers, Gangsterland. Apparently he's in Terrifier 3.
Yeah, I saw that. I have not watched any of the Terrifier films. I don't know why.
It might be a house at Universal this year, so I'll probably have to watch it now.
Oh, look at you. Ugh. Look at you.
So I've seen a few of his films. I like him. He's a decent actor. I just think that those choices he makes, that one choice he makes to do like the in my head is just dumb. Right, but again, I don't think that's his fault.
Listen, who are you recommending this film to?
Anybody who likes gritty crime films, stuff like The Shield, stuff like The Wire. You know, like we said, there was a dearth of them in the early 2000s up to like probably 2010. But I don't think there's a lot now. Like,
what?
Of gritty crime shows or films like that with that same grit. I think that a lot of it's like this weird true crime type
fake
stuff.
Digital grit.
Yeah. I just don't think that these kind of movies are really around right now, as prevalent as before. So I think I would recommend it to any of them. I don't think it's the greatest. I don't think it's the worst. The performances are very good.
Well, we're definitely past the anti-hero character that was prominent in cable television for 10, 15 years, like Mad Men and Breaking Bad and all that stuff, and which influenced a lot of feature films. So we're definitely not in that era. So there's not as many. So yeah, I can agree with you there.
Yeah. So I think anybody who likes those could get something out of it. If you really like Joe Carnahan, I think a lot of his stuff's a little bit more bubblegum now.
I've never been a Smoking Aces guy.
I know you didn't like Smoking Aces.
I wasn't a huge. I mean,
you watched Boss Level. Did you like that?
It's okay. It's okay. It's fun. But like, you haven't seen The Grey, and I told you to watch The Grey last time we talked about The Grey.
We talked about The Grey like 2 episodes ago.
I know The Grey is really. I love The Grey. Well, I don't love The Grey, but I enjoyed The Grey.
Sure.
So yeah, no. I mean, I'm gonna go back and see like what other movies I quoted from. Well, we watched Stretch, and I have an affinity to the A-Team because I grew up watching the A-Team as a kid, or I grew up, my parents would let me watch the A-Team as a kid, but then I would sneak.
Yeah, I think the A-Team movie is a fun, like, again, but it's a bubblegum action movie, but it's good. I think he can direct action.
Stretch is good. So
Stretch is fun. So I think he's a good action director. I think this shows that he can also do kind of dramatic crime stuff.
This is his first film, pretty much. So, yeah.
His first big film. So yeah, I would recommend this to people for sure.
Well, why is it forgotten then?
I think it's not the best within that dearth of crime films. I think that the, first time directorness of it kind of shows in some scenes and some choices. I think that while the actors involved surely loved it, while Tom Cruise surely loved it, I don't think there's anything really like, if I was to point out like the top 10 most awesome performances of crime movies, I don't think this would be it. I don't think that. But that's the top 10 like shocking moments in a crime film. I don't think this has.
You're saying top 10 crime films of all time, or just of 2000s?
I mean, definitely of all time.
Of all time, that's like, you're talking like the upper echelon of films. It's really tough for any movie to be in that. But of the 2000s, I can understand.
But
that.
Yeah, so sure. I think that hurts it. I think that there's just other movies that came out and it didn't get it got a wider release because of Tom Cruise, but I don't think it got the widest of releases. And I think Jason Patric and Ray Liotta aren't like the biggest stars in the world to
Jason Patric's in Speed 2 Cruise Control,
which was already like almost 10 years old by the time this came
out. No. Really? Speed was 95.
No, so maybe not. Maybe 98 was Speed 2. Okay. Not quite that long.
I'm gonna speed it up. I like Speed. I guess. I think it's a film that has a lot going for it, but it also is a film that, like we talked about, we're confusing elements and the plot's a little tough to follow. And you have to be into this genre, I believe, to really appreciate it. It's not a film that a casual film person or somebody who rents a film. Remember when we rented films, or somebody who sees it on the streamer is going to click.
Right.
You would have to be somebody who really loves Ray Liotta. We do, sees a lot of Jason Patric films, knows Joe Carnahan films, is into this, the true crime, gritty stuff like this kind of, loves French Connection, stuff like that.
Right. Luther.
Right. So
that's what's pretty.
It's definitely I wouldn't say it's a niche audience, but it's a niche adjacent audience. So it's you know what I mean?
Right. Like,
yeah.
I think personally, like if somebody likes true crime stuff, like at least loves true crime stuff, I don't think that translates well into this kind of gritty cop, into these kind of gritty cop drama kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts, or you're watching us right now, wherever you're watching our show, listening to our show. If you like us, please rate, comment, subscribe. All that stuff really helps the podcast out. And let us know, what's your favorite Joe Carnahan film? What's your favorite gritty, like within that like 10-year period, what's your favorite gritty kind of cop show or movie? Like what within this genre we're discussing really rocks your boat hard. Right. And while you're thinking about that, if you want to support us further, we're on Patreon, Forgotten Cinema Patreon. You can get exclusive access to episodes, which we do just for you guys, timed exclusive episodes, access to our Discord where you can talk movies with us, discounts on merch, all that kind of good stuff. And you can join for free just to keep up with what we're doing, what we're posting, all that kind of stuff. So join the Patreon there. And otherwise, just keep watching and tell your friends about us. Let the podcast grow. Look at this nice new set. we want to keep doing episodes in this nice new set for a long time. So keep watching.
Oh God, for a long time. Next week we're ending season 20.
Next week we're just ending. That's it. It's a long time.
We've already done that. We already did that once. So next week we're actually we weren't paying attention to the years because we're only going back a year to 2002. Oops. We're doing the Danny DeVito directed comedy Death to Smoochie, which I hope is not us just doing lines from the film, which I hate when we do comedies in there. And you know what I mean?
It was a dark comedy, but it does have
we
some
have
good
to
lines.
we have to make sure we come with more to talk about in this film, but for that film.
You've seen Death to Smoochie before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You haven't?
No, I have.
Oh yeah. No, I've seen that. I've seen Death of Smoochie before. I've seen most of these films. All right. That's next week. Until then, everyone have a great week. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Hey guys, we hope you liked our episode for Narc. If you guys liked that, you like more cop movies, we did Hard Boiled, which is a little bit different, but definitely still a cop movie, right above me right there.
But hey, maybe you're a Ray Liotta fan. You love those Chantrix commercials. So perhaps you'd like to see a movie he was in 2000 something. I don't know what. Identity, right above me, a horror film. Boop, 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 boop. So check that out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We are Forgotten Cinema. Take it easy.